Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching, subscribing, sharing these videos with your friends, all that good stuff. Hope you continue to enjoy. Thanks again to my wife for helping me out outside the truck. I've been wanting to get that one up for a long time, so finally got the pumping video taped. I'm actually redoing this video. I already had it all taped, all uploaded to YouTube, and I've decided to redo it. And if you are on the forum at truckersreport.com. Maybe you found my videos through there. I really am hardly ever on that website. I used to be, back in the day, really into forums and all that stuff. I don't have a lot of time. I don't want to use my data on my phone for that sort of thing anymore. So at any rate, I'm not on forums very often, but I do occasionally make posts on there. If you found me or have never been to that website, that's where I got a lot of my information before I started truck driving. It's a great resource. It's got a lot of guys who have a lot of information about truck driving, about Prime and a lot of the other companies. And the topic, I actually did a thread, and I did it maybe a year ago, just after finishing up getting my own, or maybe I think it was just before I got my own truck. And I've tacked on a couple of posts since then. But the topic was my thoughts on the usual Prime complaints. And the two biggest things that you hear, and I'm sure if you're looking into going into trucking, and you're looking into Prime at all, you've heard lightweight trucks. I've seen my lightweight tour video of this truck and my other lightweight truck that I've had, that people get stuck in these lightweight trucks and they hate them, and slow speeds. And I posted my thoughts there on lightweight trucks and slow speeds, and I did a video on that. I had a conversation earlier this week that didn't change my mind at all, but I added some information, and I really wanted to include it in this video. So I'm redoing this video. I had, usually I upload videos in advance so that I'm not in a rush to get something up on a Friday night. And if you don't know, if you're new to this channel, I try to get videos up every Friday night at about 10 o'clock Eastern time, 10 p.m. Eastern. So this one will go up at some point in the next few weeks. I am taping this, and the reason I state this is because as of today, the information I'm going to use, got some figures here, are accurate in terms of how much Prime is paying company drivers, and I'm going to use the figures for the reefer division, because that's where the topic of lightweight trucks is really the biggest issue. So let's start with slow speeds. First of all, slow speeds on the side. First of all, Prime doesn't have any trucks. I know everybody says, well, geez, everybody drives 55. Prime's got to be governed at 55. Prime doesn't have any trucks that are governed under 62 miles an hour. If you're a company driver, your truck will be governed at 62 miles an hour on cruise control. You won't be able to go 62 when you're not using cruise. You actually go 58 when you're using just the pedal. But when you're using cruise control, you'll be able to go 62. I've heard complaints, well, geez, then you're not able to go 62 miles an hour all the time. Well, if you're not able to use cruise control, there's likely a good reason for that. Bad weather, traffic, things along those lines. You probably shouldn't be going 62 in the first place. If there's bad weather, you don't want to be using cruise control because you're not in control of the vehicle. If you're in traffic, similar situation. You're not in control of the vehicle. And we have these computer systems that will slow you down, they'll stop you, they'll do all this stuff, collision avoidance systems, but you don't want the truck to do that for you. We're not to that point with these, and maybe someday I'll do a video on the Freightliner Super Truck and some of these other automated trucks that are out there, the Google self-driving car. That's a topic for another day. But you want to be in control of the vehicle. And I really don't think you're hindering traffic in any way, shape, or form. As a lease operator, you're governed at 65. That is both on cruise control and on the pedal. when you're driving 65, I guarantee you're going to be passing cars. I mean, I'm talking in a 70 mile an hour zone. You're going to be passing cars. You're going to be passing other trucks if you're going 65 miles an hour. The reason for the slower speeds, and this is part of the reason that I have figures, and we'll get to these later on, it's all about miles per gallon and cents per mile and fuel savings and all that. The flip side of it, and although that is great on the pocketbook, and you can't argue with the pocketbook side, and I'm going to show you how you can't argue with the pocketbook side. If you slow down, first of all, there are very few loads that Prime gives that you don't have time to make it from point A to point B, and make it on time. If you have to hit up against the governor, then you hit up against the governor and you get there on time. If you don't have time to make it, and Prime knows that, you let your fleet manager know, hey, this one's a really tight load. As soon as they send it to you, you've got 100 miles to go from point A to point B, and you're 2 hours away, and they send you that load. First of all, they probably realize you're not going to be able to make it on time, but as soon as you get that load, you let your fleet manager know. So getting back to the communication side of things, you let them know, hey, you realize this is 2 hours away and it's 100 miles, and I've got 2 hours of ability to get there. They understand the concept that you're not going to necessarily make it on time, and as long as that communication is there, they'll let the customer know that you might not make it. But when you do have time, and there is, as an example today, yesterday afternoon, and this is pretty frequent on my dedicated account, yesterday afternoon at about 2 o'clock, I got my assignment for Michigan City, Indiana. I come out of Decatur, Indiana. It's about a 3-hour drive. I'm due here at 9 o'clock in the morning. I sure don't need to go 65 the whole way to make it on time. So, does it benefit me to go 65? Well, I know I'll get here faster, but in terms of fuel savings, every cent of fuel savings that occurs in this truck goes right back into my pocket. Because why? As a lease operator, you pay for fuel. And we're going to show you facts and figures on fuel savings coming up after I talk about the lightweight trucks. Lightweight trucks. So stress, a little bit stress-free driving. You don't have to pass as many people if you're going 55, 57. Now, I know there are some guys out there who go 48, 47 miles an hour. I'm not a huge fan of that, but if that's the way you want to go, I guarantee you that is not as big a safety hazard as you think it is. Other drivers not paying attention is the biggest safety hazard out here. That it really, really is. There's a lot less stress if you're going 57 miles an hour and not having to worry about, I got to pass this guy because he's going a half mile an hour slower than I am. A lot less stressful driving. Lightweight trucks. If you really, really are insistent that you don't want a lightweight truck, even as a company driver, there are ways to not have a lightweight truck. There's a financial benefit to lightweight trucks. We're going to get to that. And it may not seem like a huge deal, but I'm going to point out why you can't think little numbers, you have to think big numbers. But if you really think you can't handle a lightweight truck as an and personally, if I did over the road, I would prefer a mid-roof full-size truck. I really would. If I was over the road and out for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time, that's what I would prefer to have. But if you're a company driver, you're coming to Prime and you say, I really don't think I could do it, you can tell them you're going to train, you want to train. You're not going to be able to train right away, but if you say, hey, I'm thinking about training in the future, if you tell them, hey, I want my significant other, my spouse, my children to come with me, that's a good way to have them. And they might say, hey, you're giving up the bonus, and we'll get to the money in a moment. And the third way is to tell them that you don't think you'll be comfortable, you're claustrophobic, you're a bigger guy or gal. I probably very easily could have done that as an over-the-road driver in the reefer division, especially. I'm 6'6", 6'7", You can tell I'm a bit bigger guy. I probably very easily could have said, hey, I think it would have been claustrophobic. I don't think it would have fit very well living in a smaller truck. And they probably would have said, all right, we'll give you a full size. We'll give you a condo. So there's that side of it. There is a benefit. Financially, there is a benefit to the smaller trucks. And there's a benefit as a lease operator as well. So it's not just company drivers that are getting the benefit to the fuel savings. And there's a benefit to the lightweight truck. So we're going to flip over. We're going to take a look at the financial side and the financial benefits. And we'll do that here in just a second. All right, so here we are on the financial side. And as I said, the reason that the date is important, as of today, June 9th, 2016, Prime is paying the reefer division company drivers 39.5 cents per mile. So if you take a look at that figure, if you average 2,000 miles per week, which is actually a pretty low number, you should probably be pretty disappointed if you only average 2,000 miles a week. But that's going to net you $790 over the course of 1 week. If you take a lightweight truck, Prime will pay you a bonus of 5 cents. Here's where people take a look at that lightweight truck and say, well, I'd rather have the space than 5 cents, because what's 5 cents? I really don't think 5 cents is that big of a deal. And this is where I'm going to tell you, this is where you have to think long and hard. Because that's $100 a week. That's 44.5 cents a mile instead of 39.5 cents a mile. Those 2,000 miles is $890 instead of $790. All right, well, that's only $100 a week. That's not that big of a deal, right? Or is it? I mean, that $100 a week, well, that's groceries for you. So, and this is obviously gross. This is not including tax, insurance, any other responsibilities that you have. I'm just using some very, very basic numbers just to illustrate the point. And again, there may be some weeks where you get less than 2,000 miles, but I would certainly hope, especially in the reefer division, again, I'm using the reefer division numbers just because that's where a lot of these decisions are going to be made on the lightweight versus, and that's the other side of it. I'm not really sure that there are many, if any, lightweight tanker drivers in the company division or lightweight flatbed drivers on the company side. I've said it before, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I only have a lightweight because I do a dedicated account that requires a lightweight truck. So $100 a week on 2,000 miles. All right, well, if you get 2,000 miles a week, $790, that's $41,080 a year for a condo, a full-size truck. Well, all right, you're willing to give up those 5 cents because 5 cents isn't that big of a deal until that's $5,200 over the course of a year. Don't tell me 5 cents is not a lot. You can't look at it as 5 cents. Don't look at the small picture. Look at the big picture. So, don't say it's 5 cents a mile. Is it worth $5,200 a year to give up the lightweight truck and the extra space? You may still say, yes, it's worth it. I'm not saying that you have to take a lightweight truck. But what I am saying is, understand you're giving up $5,000 a year. All right, now we're going to talk about lease. This is a little more complicated. I took these numbers directly off of my most recent settlement. This is a little bit lower settlement. I only ran 1,813 miles this week, and my net fuel cost was 13.1 cents per mile. What that translates to is how much did it cost me in fuel to run my truck. In the video where we went over the settlement, we went through the fuel surcharge and the line haul. At one point along the way, I know I mentioned that the fuel surcharge doesn't cover 100% of your fuel cost. The fuel surcharge was set up at a time when fuel was $4, $5, $6 a gallon. Fuel is down to around $2 a gallon now in terms of diesel, but they still have the fuel surcharge. So we're getting paid a portion of our diesel. So I'm still responsible for the rest. So at 13.1 cents per mile, I was responsible this last week for $237.50 of my diesel cost, which is not bad. Honestly, my net fuel cost is high. It's higher than it should be. I could get it down lower. In fact, I'm not real happy with my net fuel cost, but I do run 65 more often than I probably should. Now, if I could reduce my net fuel cost just 1 cent, and this is where that fuel savings goes directly in my pocket, comes in. If I could reduce it 1 cent to 12.1 cents per mile, that drops my fuel cost down to $219.37. So by reducing my net fuel cost 1 cent saves me $18 and change. So by slowing down, getting better fuel economy, it benefits me directly by putting money back in my pocket. Again, this is a little bit more difficult a concept to understand, or a little more complex a concept to understand than 5 cents per mile directly in your pocket by getting a lightweight truck. But there it is as a lease operator. Again, you go through your fuel surcharge, which is an amount of money that you get on each load, and that amount of money partially helps pay for your diesel. Whatever above that amount you spend on diesel, you are responsible for. And that's the amount I was responsible for this week, was $237.50. If I could lower my fuel usage by being more fuel efficient, by going slower, it saves me money. And there you go. There's a direct savings. If I can reduce my net fuel cost by 1 cent, it saves me $18.13. Now, every time I reduce it by another cent, it's another $18 back in my pocket. And you can get your fuel costs negative, which means you're not paying any cash out of pocket for diesel. So my net fuel cost is a little higher than I like at this point. All right, we'll come back and wrap up the video next. So I hope that all makes sense. The final point that I wanted to make on the lightweight trucks especially, I think that's a little overstated. A little over a year ago, in some of my final weeks of training, maybe 15 months ago or so, I was in probably Pennsylvania at the time. I spent 2 days, and I believe I counted the first 50 trucks that I saw that were prime reefer trucks. And the reason I direct this video more towards reefer, even though the title says tanker, I'm a tanker driver. If that's not, if you haven't watched any of my videos in the past, that's obviously the majority of prime trucks are reefer trucks, and a majority of the people that come to prime are going to join the reefer division. They're going to be the ones that have to have these decisions on lightweight trucks with slower speeds. But at any rate, the reason that I think that the lightweight truck issue is a little bit overblown, of those 50 trucks, and again, every truck that passed coming the other direction on the highway, made a mental note, and after 50 trucks I stopped counting. And off the top of my head, again, truckersreport.com, the exact numbers in the thread that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I believe after 50 trucks I had counted something like 5 or 6 lightweight trucks. I do understand that some areas, maybe the Northeast, runs a little bit more lightweight trucks than other areas, but I really think it's a bit of an overstated situation. Not every guy that comes to Prime, every new driver that comes to Prime gets a lightweight. There are ways to not have a lightweight if you don't want to have a lightweight. Certainly, there are reasons to have a lightweight or to drive slower. Financially, it is beneficial to you. Hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you understand my explanations for why Prime drives slower, why guys choose the lightweight trucks. I choose the lightweight truck, and if you haven't watched any of my videos previously, I do go home just about every night. I, in fact, did my expense reports for my CPA here, and I think I was in the truck 5 nights last month. So roughly once a week, I'll have to spend in the truck, maybe a little bit more than that. And the reason it was as high as 5 is there was 3 days in 1 week where it just, there was a mechanical issue at the Decatur plant, which is where I run out of. So I had to get sent over to our other facility in Bellevue. If it weren't for that, I probably would have only been in the truck 3 nights that week or last month. So there you go. That's the reason that I have the lightweight truck. If I was an over-the-road driver, I think I might prefer the full size. But I do understand, and again, I really think you have to think long and hard about $5,000 over the course of the year. You can't look at it as 5 cents. 5 cents just sounds like such, well, who cares about a nickel? What's a nickel? $5,000 makes a lot bigger difference when you think about it that way. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you are a new watcher or a subscriber, if you are thinking about coming to Prime, I really appreciate it if under the reference, or if anybody passed your information along. Sorry, when they ask you if anybody referred you to Prime, you can put my name. It's the channel name is my name. You can write that down. If you don't want to do it, no skin off my back. I'm not out here pushing anybody to do anything they don't want to do. I can get a little bit of a bonus out of it. Doesn't cost you guys anything, doesn't take away anything from you guys coming to Prime. So if you want to do that, thank you so much in advance. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.